in grade 2, I wanted to do a bonus lesson for you for, of course this is for everybody, but for those of you who have kept pace, you're looking maybe into grade 3 honors next year, or you just really want to be able to take this math and get off to a great start, I wanted to take our quadratic formula and get a little bit deeper, okay? So you can follow through this as much as you want. I've got some problems there for you to do. I've already written the problems for you to do and the answers because I was kind of running out of room, so I put it there. But I'm going to take you through these problems and we're going to do them a whole lot faster because I'm assuming that if you're watching this video that you are pretty well skilled at some of the things that we're doing. So we'll do a little step skipping right here. Okay. The first thing I want to introduce you to is this idea of complex numbers. So, I had you practice the solving radicals and learning that the square root of -1 is I, that we can't solve that. So next year, not only will you be working with imaginary solutions, but you're going to get this idea of a complex number. And you're going to see that in our answers today. So a complex number basically is A and B are the real numbers. And then, of course, I is the square root of -1. And so I almost think of it as this being like the real part and the imaginary part, okay? But A and B are the real numbers. So we got, basically I look at this and say a real number plus an imaginary number is a complex number. And if you go with the straight definition of complex, that's probably what it is. Okay. Now, notice this right here. I threw this in and I did not throw in the other lessons. When you use the quadratic formula, your equation must be set equal to 0. Okay? Your equation must be set equal to 0. And so if you have a problem that's not set equal to 0, you simply move the problem so that it is. Okay? Now, the next thing we're going to do right away is we're going to go right into the discriminants. So if I put our numbers into the discriminant, so I'm not going to do all the listing, so we're already at step 3. And so we're going to get positive 36 minus 16. Our discriminant is 20. Okay? Now, I want to maybe take time out. Not all your answers today are going to be complex numbers. I'm also showing you that we do not change our radicals to decimal. So, sorry for that in the intro. There's two things happening today. One, we're going to leave our answers in radical form. Okay, that's what we call our exact solutions. So we're not going to change it to a decimal, but we're going to simplify it. And then I'm going to have some imaginaries thrown in there. Okay. So we have our template. And so we get -6. Okay, x equals -b, plus or minus b squared. So it's -b plus or minus the square root of 20 over 2 times 1. Okay, so everything's the same. There's nothing changed. This is where it's going to be different. So a couple weeks ago, you would change this to a decimal, and then you'd go one with the plus and one with the minus. Okay? What we're going to do here you simplify radical 20 into 2 radical 5. Okay, so remember that would be square root of 4, square root of 5 if we break it up. So it's 6 plus or minus 2 radical 5 over 2. And then we're actually going to break this up into 2 fractions. So just like you add or subtract the tops and bottoms stay the same, you can either put a fraction together or pull it apart. So this is what we're going to have. In fact, I'm going to change that. I'm going to do this right here. I kind of call this the heart method, okay, that you love the quadratic formula. So what you do is you can reduce and say, okay, well 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and so you would just have radical 5. And you'll see some apps and stuff out there that leave it as 3 plus or minus radical 5, or you'll see them write one with a plus and one with a minus. And so this would be our answer to this first example, okay? So last week it would have been 6 plus the square root of 20, so 4 point something, and you would have ended up with your decimal answer. Now we basically are going to leave the radical and see if we can simplify these pieces right here. And you actually have some teachers actually break it up, and maybe I'll show that to you in the next example. Okay, so no different except simplify. So this is why you really want to learn how to simplify moving forward. Most teachers, most people want your answers in exact form, especially as you get into pre-calc. We're not going to be doing decimal answers all the time. So let's kind of get away from those decimal answers right there. All right, here's example 2. Okay, so we look at this and say, well, we have to have it set equal to 0. So you might say, oh, do you want me just to move the x squared over to here? You could subtract x squared from both sides, but I really, really like it when he's positive. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to move the negative 8x minus 10 over to the other side. And so we're going to move that there, we're going to skip some steps, and we get x squared plus 8x plus 10 equals 0. Okay, so we simply added this over to here. Whatever you do here, you do here. And if you're watching this lesson, I'm sure you can pretty much understand what I did. Okay. So I'm going to still do the discriminant, so I get 8 squared, which is going to give me 64, minus 4 times 1 times 10, which is negative 40, and my discriminant is 24. Let's make sure I do that right. 8 squared is 64, check. Negative 4 times 1 times 10 is negative 40. We're good to go. So if I plug in, I get negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 24 over 2. And of course, the square root of 24 simplifies to 2 radical 6. Okay? All right, let me show you the other version. So I simplified last time, I did the heart, and then I did one with the plus and one with the minus. You might have some teachers write it like this. They'll negative 8 plus 2 radical 6. So they'll do one with the plus and one with the minus. And then they'll simplify. And I think the reason why they do that is that not every problem will simplify. So if it doesn't simplify here, if there's no art to make, okay, or something to do, then you might see this. So we have negative 4 plus radical 6, because the 2's are going to cancel to 1, and negative 4 minus radical 6. Remember, these two answers are going to be the same except for the plus and minus. So once you have one, once you have one, you have the other one. You just exchange the plus for the minus right there. Okay, you can see we're kind of getting squeezed out there, but that's okay. I'm going to take this 4x squared out, so that's going to be gone. So that's not necessary. We're going to leave that there. You can have problems that don't have a b value or a c value, but I've left it pretty traditional. So let's work here. Okay, so I have 4x, I'm going to subtract it from both sides. And I have x squared minus 4x plus 10 equals 0. Notice, he doesn't go over here. He goes to the middle. We want ax squared plus bx plus c. Discriminants. Negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 10. And this gives me 16 minus 40. Okay? Let's see. Negative 4 squared is 16. 4 times 1 times 10. The discriminant is negative 24. Now, notice in the past, this is where we write no solution. We're not going to do that anymore. Okay? We don't have to do that anymore. We can actually solve this and get an imaginary solution. So let's plug in. I'm not going to do the template. And so this would be positive 4 all over 2. Okay, now we're going to do this square root of negative 24. And so remember, if you did that assignment, that's why we did the assignment, this is going to look like this. So we break it up into 4 times 6 times negative 1. Notice the same thing here, 4 and 6. So the only thing that's here is negative 1, and we know that's I. So the square root of 4 is 2. We put I first. Then we write radical 6. If you put I back here, we sometimes get it confused and think that it's part of the radical. Okay? So look at the difference. The only difference between the square root of 24 and the square root of negative 24 is the I value. That's the only thing that you have to adjust. And then, like we've always done, we do numbers with numbers. And my answer here would be 2 plus or minus I radical 6. where you check your answers, you'll see some apps or some books write it in both parts, or they'll simply stop here, assuming that you know that you're supposed to then write one with a plus and one with a minus. Okay? So don't get caught off if you're looking at something and you see it like this, saying, oh, why didn't they break it up? Because you could break it up on your own. Okay? So you can see it here, or you'll see it written like this. Notice with the problems I did, I pretty much broke it up into the pieces. All right, let's do our last one. So we do our b squared minus 4ac. So let's see here, I get 36. Negative 4 times 2 times 9, negative 72. My discriminant is negative 36. Okay, nothing wrong. You might notice square root of 36 is 6, but it's negative 36, so you can't say your answer is 6. Okay, it is negative. So if we plug into the template, I get 6 plus or minus, I'm going to do the 4, and the square root of negative 36 would be broken up into square root of 36 times negative 1, which is simply 6i. Now, I want you to notice, we don't combine that together. It is 6 plus 6i. That's like, those are not like terms. So you can almost treat the I like a variable. Okay, now, we generally reduce here. And this is one of the reasons why sometimes we break it up. So watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go 6 over 4 So I'm going to do 6 over 4 plus or minus 6i over 4. So 6 over 4 reduces to 3 halves plus or minus, and this 6 over 4 would reduce to 3 halves. But it would be 3i over 2. And remember, as we go farther along in math, you're going to have fraction answers. Remember, not everything is going to come out to be really nice. Obviously, you can see not everything comes out to be nice or to change to a decimal. Okay? You could also see it this way. Okay? But the idea is to maybe break that up into 2 parts and then see if you can do some simplifying right there in the problem. Okay? And this is the stuff, this is about as hard as it gets. And I want to remind you, there's going to be some problems, not every radical gets broken down. I can tell you when you do problem 1, it's probably going to be the square root of 37. Okay, it's not going to break down. And so not everything is going to simplify. And so if you get like 4 plus or minus radical 3 over 2, you don't do anything with radical 3. We're not changing it to a decimal, and it doesn't simplify, so you just leave it as radical 3. All right. anyone interested in the bonus lesson, if you can do these, okay, if you study this and write this down, and then do these on your own, don't look at the answers, and then grade it. If you can do this, you have pretty much nailed the whole month of April. I think you're really looking good moving forward, so I hope you kind of do that. Text me if you have a question. Email me if you have a question, because those of you that are really advanced and have really done well since we haven't been able to be together, I'd really like some people to do this, tell me that you understand it or want to get it done, and we can talk about it, okay? So here is the bonus lesson between week 6 and 7. Do it anytime on your own. Send me a picture, text it to me, let me know when you have it done, okay? All right, guys, I'll see you soon in the next video. Bye.